Bumblebee viewers, welcome back. I'm your host Tereza, but today I'm taking the role of a storyteller as I tell you the tales of the top 10 dark legends from the ancient Mayan civilization. So we're gonna learn a lot today. Indigenous stories are rarely without lessons, and the first of those can be found in number 10, A Tale of Two Flowers. The legend begins with two women, Expin, a perceived sinner, and the other woman, Utskolel, known as a good chaste woman. The wealthy townspeople look down at Expin and belittle her, as she was a woman of many love affairs. But they're ignorant of her good heart, as she cared for all those who were sick or poor and did so without expecting anything in return. Utskolel, meanwhile, all on her fancy rich girl virgin high horse, actually had a crap personality and a cold heart, considering everyone inferior to her. One day, the misunderstood Expin goes missing. The judgmental visitors think she's off pleasing more men, until they realize a pungent flower scent is radiating from her house. Nosy, they go check what the perfume is and find Expin dead. Flowers had fought their way through the floorboards to grow around her. The villagers are aghast, but Utskolel insists it's a demon's trick and assures them when she herself dies, it'll smell even sweeter. Psych. When Utskolel dropped dead not long after, the villagers knew almost immediately because the stench radiating from her home was unbearable. Even flowers placed at her grave wilted and died the next day. As legend goes, Expin was reincarnated into the beautiful, sweet-smelling hedge flower. Utskolel, however, that uppity B-word, got turned into a cactus flower that smelled like straight butt. Enraged that she was not as divine as she insisted she had been in life, Utskolel called upon the spirits to make her a woman again, wanting to find love affairs as Expin had, assuming her power came from them. But Utskolel's heart could only be evil, and therefore the spirits could only turn her into a half-woman, half-demonic spirit whose name I won't say. Now she wanders, wearing a white dress with large black eyes, and lurks near trees and hedges at night seeking out men. She'll have intercourse with them before taking the form of a poisonous snake and devouring them, or ripping their hearts from their chests before throwing them from cliffs. Pretty hardcore stuff, right? Well, get ready for number 9 then, the story of the man goat. I'm going to only say its true name once for context, after that it's all abbreviations, baby. So, the Hue Shivo is a half-man that transforms himself at will and only during the nighttime, said to have glowing red eyes, thick black but patchy fur, and stands on 2 hooven animal legs. Despite this, it will have the torso and arms of a human and the head of a goat. If the HC is near, you will smell rotting flesh and feel a wave of cold air. If you do see an HC, you must look away. This creature can be created by a sorcerer, but its origin story is as follows. A handsome man lived in Merida, working hard, and he was well educated. However, he was poor, too poor to marry his beloved of a high social class. So he took out to the jungle, screaming his pain out, and in rage called upon the king of the underworld. The king appears, asking what he can provide this distraught man, who begs to sell his soul for a chance to be near the young woman, anything to be with her. The underworld king is like, shit, anything? Say less. And turn the man into a goat. Kinda. The young man is hysterical, saying this is not what he wanted, that he's neither man nor goat, but a monster. The underworld king laughs at him and says he did his part, gave the man what he wanted, and leaves. Since then, the HC runs through the night, killing farm animals in a rage for having been tricked into becoming half of one himself. Let's have a palate cleanser, something a little more tame for number 8. How about the farmer and the tree? Trees came to Earth with a mission. Some cure diseases, others provide wood for building shelter. Some produce food for many creatures. Humans knew this once, but as time went on, man became forgetful and began felling the forest with little regard for the tree's purposes and lives. There was one tree, once the happiest on Earth, that watched all this deforestation and destruction and became incredibly depressed, watching the destruction grow closer. Finally, the logging reached his part of the jungle, and a farmer came, ready to put his axe through him. As the farmer swung, the tree found its voice and screamed out, "Not me," in fear. The farmer freezes alarmed and stares in awe at the great tree, asking if it's true that it had just spoken. "We can," the tree replied. "My name is Sirikote. Trees are the connection between the heavens, the earth, and the underworld, and we can talk in times of desperate need." "Why didn't the other trees say anything when I came to cut them down?" the farmer asked, confused. "I don't mean any harm, but we need the land to grow food." "Their mission was different," explained Sirikote. "Their purpose was to gift their wood, but mine is not. You can plant your crops, but keep me around, and soon enough you will learn why." The farmer, hesitant, did as he was told. Patient, he tended to the plot and took care of the tree, and the tree grew tall and its foliage wide. And when the time came, it produced delicious fruits that fed the farmer's family and the animals that lived around. Number 7 is the story of the rabbit and the shoe. Long ago, animals lived together in harmony in a single mountain cave. Each animal had its own burrow: the coyote, the vulture, the deer, the lion, the snake, and so on. However, they were all tired of being tricked by the rabbit. There was nothing to do but call a meeting and decide together matter what to do, which they all agreed was to roll a boulder onto the rabbit and smash it to pieces. The lion says, you, turkey vulture, go watch for him to come out, and you, deer, go right after him. Since you can run as fast as Mayor Rabbit, you'll be able to catch up with him. Be on guard, all of you. Snake, you look to see when he comes out and we'll all pile on top of him. You, Snake, call him. The animals all agree to the plan, keeping an eye on the rabbit hole where he was presumably asleep, but the rabbit wasn't and had heard their plot. So when they begin to call out, Rabbit, come on out, hurry, the rabbit's only response is, wait, I'm taking off my sandal. But hurry, said the snake. Wait for me there, I'm coming out, called back the rabbit. A moment passes. All right, said the rabbit, I'm coming out now, but please catch my other sandal, I beg you, so I may put it on outside. The other animals mutter amongst themselves and agree to catch his sandal and throw it over there. Then shout to the rabbit, all right, Mayor, throw out your sandal. The turkey vulture caught the sandal. He gave it to the deer and the deer threw it away. They were all too busy shouting at the rabbit's hole to realize it wasn't his sandal they had tossed away, but the rabbit himself. Finally, they send the snake into the hole in the raft, and the snake shouts, he's not here, he's not here. He's not here? Maybe it was him we threw, said the lion. Did you notice if it was his sandal you threw away? He asked the deer angrily. The animals begin to fight amongst themselves and begin to kill one another in a rage. Meanwhile, the rabbit from far away laughed at their bloodshed and the lie and lives to be the trickster to this day. Number 6 is the story of the turtle baby. Long ago, there lived a very old woman, the oracle of an ancient Mayan world. But alas, the price for her rule was her fertility, and the woman craved motherhood in her old age. One day, the fertility god Chikan appears and tells her to visit her local synoids every day in search of a very large turtle egg. The oracle did, until one day she found the egg and brought it home, from which emerged a tiny green dwarf with bright copper hair. The oracle treasured the strange son and raised him with love until he was a man. But he was a curious one, and one day approached the cauldron his mother forbid him from. Inside was a gourd rattle, one so loud and powerful the oracle herself made a prophecy that should it be played, a new king was to be crowned. And guess who played it? The king, as does the whole kingdom, hears this rattle and is immediately enraged. Hunting down the sun, he demands he face 3 tests. The first was to build a long white road, which the sun does with the help of the gods. The second test was for the sun to build the tallest building in the land overnight, otherwise be killed. The sun, unsure of what to do, lays on the earth to contemplate, but when he wakes, it's on top of the largest pyramid in the land, built for him once again by the gods. For the third and final test, the king asked the sun to place a hickory on his head and then break it with a spearhead. The dwarf passed this test because he had a hardened plate the oracle mother had wished upon his head as a babe. The king, however, did not have a hard head, and trying the challenge himself, dies. Thus the sun is declared the king. How about we learn of another creature for number 5? It's the sisimite. That's my one name drop. I'm gonna be calling it Sis from here on out, even if it doesn't exactly suit the visual aesthetic of a horrifying deformed Bigfoot. That's essentially what this creature is, a shaggy 6 to 8 foot tall Mesoamerican monster with only 4 fingers and no thumbs, backward facing feet, and no knees. Its face is ape-like with teeth of a jaguar, and it can only communicate through howling screams. As a result, the Sis craves to gain the power of speech like humans. Ellen Danien, the curator of painted metaphors, wrote, if a woman sees a Sis, her life is indefinitely prolonged. But if a man never lives more than a month after he's looked into the eyes of the monster. That doesn't mean women are safe, however. It's said that Sis targets and steals human women, and should she not fall in love with the Sis, the woman will inevitably be devoured. But if tall, dark, and hairy with no knees is your type, he may grant you magical powers for loving him. Don't worry, if you come across a Sis, there's a laundry list of things you can do to protect yourself, such as dance in a circle since it'll trip over itself, or just bring a dog or water to splash on it. Concerned with good and evil dualities, this legend tells the story of 2 warrior trees. Number 4. The brothers' names were Kinch, who was gentle and noble, and Tisik, who was arrogant and ruthless. One day, they met Nikteha, a beautiful and intelligent princess who conquered the hearts of both men. Both fell instantly in love and vied for the woman, but obviously only one could have her, so Tisik challenged his brother to a duel to the death. This decision angered the gods, who covered the sky in thick clouds and hid the moon from sight as the two fought. But there was no winner. Both fighters are mortally injured by the other and collapse to the ground. You may be wondering, would it have been easier to ask Nikteha if who she wanted to have in the first place? Probably, but she may have not wanted either for all they know, as neither had ever asked, and now they're dead. Desperate to see her again, and full of regret for the death of each other, the 2 brothers asked the gods to return to Earth once more. The gods accepted, but warned the brothers could only come back as trees. Now you can see the warrior siblings in the jungle in the form of the Chichen and Chaka trees. The first, evil still in an arboreal reincarnation, oozes a highly irritating toxin. Meanwhile, the Chaka, the good guy, produces a soothing sage that acts as an antidote. These 2 trees only ever grow next to one another. Number 3 will be the story of the jaguar and the skunk. Once there was a jaguar and then Miss Skunk. Miss Skunk had a son blessed by the jaguar, who the jaguar visits one day, telling Miss Skunk it's time to teach the boy to hunt. Miss Skunk tries to argue that the distance is too far and the task too dangerous. What if something was to happen and she can't make it in time? But little Skunk insists on going and leaves with Jaguar for the riverbed. The two came upon the river and the jaguar states this is where they were to eat and that he must sharpen his knives, referring to his claws. After doing so, he tells little Skunk, now you're going to be on guard because I am going to be asleep. When you see them come, wake me up. Don't shout. Scratch my belly so I won't alarm them. But don't wake me up if it's just any old little animal without antlers coming along. Only when the big antlers get here. Little Skunk agrees and sits on guard for his godfather Jaguar as he sleeps until one with big antlers comes. Little Skunk does as instructed and Jaguar takes the animal down. Together the two eat and bring the rest of the carcass back to Miss Skunk, who has her fill and stores the rest as Jaguar leaves. Time goes by and the meat is once again replenished. Little Skunk decides he must go hunting, but without calling Jaguar. His mother begs otherwise, but cannot stop him. Little Skunk mimics the actions of Jaguar. He sharpens his little claws and waits on the riverbed, deciding like Jaguar to hunt the large animals, not the little ones his own size, and sleeps until he is awakened by the trot of the big antlered animal. Little Skunk attacks, thinking he's as strong and big as his godfather, only to hang from the neck of the steed with his claws until suddenly thrown off. Little Skunk lands on his back, mouth left wide open in surprise, and Miss Skunk begins to worry. Why hadn't her son come back yet? Where was he? She decides to go look for him and sees the trotted path the antler creature made and begins to cry, following it, where she finally sees her son. Miss Skunk sees little Skunk's open mouth and relieved says, son, what are you laughing at? All your teeth are showing. She approaches closer, telling her son, give me your hand, I've come to get you, but you're just laughing in my face. But as Mother Skunk lays her hand upon him, thinking he is alive, she notices little Skunk was long since dead and begins to cry once more. Can you decipher the meaning of this story? Comment below. Number 2 is literally the stuff of my nightmares. It's the LP. They are what I am, a person, but smaller. That's the only way I can say it without saying it, but it's super easy to devise. These creatures live in the Yucatan Peninsula, but in many other indigenous lands, such as right here in North America, which is why I'm not taking any risks. Typically invisible to humans, they were capable of becoming visible when they want, but are typically found in natural areas, including jungles, forests, fields, and caves. When visible, the LPs are only knee-high and have wide, owl-like reddish eyes. They're also quick in their movements, destroying their surroundings. If someone was having a string of significant bad luck, it is believed that they must have done something to displease or become cursed with one of these LPs. You can get rid of them by calling on ancestral protection or even providing offerings like shelter, food, or tobacco. But LPs aren't only known for their chaos. If handled in approaches correctly, they can be good luck for farmlands. Many farmers have proudly turned to the LPs for decades and help keeping their farms safe. However, as stated, locals and visitors alike should avoid calling the LP by any of its names, since it may summon it to you and cause a bout of immediate torment as a revenge. Alrighty, last on the list, number 1 is how the Bird King was chosen. Maya land was looked upon by Halak Yunik, the Great Spirit. His will was law, and after growing tired of the constant fights amongst the birds, he gathered them at the center of the jungle and announced a king must be chosen. Of course, every bird felt it possessed the best qualifications. Kolpolche, the cardinal, says no one else is as bright a red and so beautiful as he struts. Hekolkolchek, the mockingbird, trills that they are the only bird with such a lovely voice and that everyone should listen to them. To prove his point, he trilled out an enrapturing song, one that the wild turkey interrupts with a gobble, stating, there's no doubt I should be king because I'm the biggest and strongest bird. I can stop fights and defend any of you. The birds continue to display their grandeur, while in the background, Kukul, the Quetzal, remained quiet. Elegant in manners and figure, but plumage shabby. Kukul knew he would be the best king, but he wouldn't be chosen if dressed so poorly, so he approached the Roadrunner, a trusted friend, and asked for his feathers, offering to share wealth and honors with him in return. When the Roadrunner finally agrees, one by one his feathers disappear, joining the plumage of the Kukal, whose body now shimmered an iridescent hue of blues and greens, his breast the color of tropical sunset, and the 4-foot feathered tail followed behind his dainty walk. Kukul had become the peacock, and his visage awarded him the role of king. The birds returned to their respective homes and Kukal to his new duties, but the peacock becomes too busy and forgets his promise to the Roadrunner. A group of birds soon seek out the missing Roadrunner to find him naked and nearly dead from the cold. Together the birds give him honey and each take feathers from their own plumage to give to him. The Roadrunner told his friends of the cruel deception of Kukul and kept repeating, where is he, where is he? Which in Maya sounds like Pahoy, Pahoy, the call of a Roadrunner. And that's why today the Roadrunner's feather remains so oddly colored and patchy and patterned. The bird always watching the Maya roads, searching for the Quetzal that stole his plumage, shouting out Pahoy, Pahoy as he searches. Alrighty, Ruth, thank you for watching. A reminder, what may be lore to you is reality to others, so be careful what you do with what you know now. Drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, episode if you want to see if you wanted to see more from us, and comment down below some of the lessons you picked up in these stories.